What's up, everybody? Back with another NFL Week 3 odds and predictions video. Going to go through every game, talk about what we like in terms of straight up pick'ems and against the spread. Let's get to it pretty quickly. As a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep getting this great content week in and week out, as well as all of our other NFL content throughout the season. Sliwa, we will start with the Thursday night game here. We got division rivals, Jets hosting the Patriots here. Both teams, surprisingly, 1-1 this year. What do you think about this game with a pretty low total here?
Yeah, this is our only one of two divisional matchups this week. So I know how we often talk about these divisional matchups being closer, fought games, usually a little bit tighter, and usually a little bit more variability in how the outcome's going to play out. But I mean, I've been impressed with how the Patriots have opened the season, taking the Seahawks to OT despite the loss this last week, especially behind Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I underestimated him, but he's been able to get the job done so far. And the defense, in my mind, looks great for the Patriots. Head coach Gerard Mayo, more of a defensive mind. I actually like the Patriots plus 6.5 in this game on the road. The Jets have really struggled against stopping the run so far against the Titans last week, and then the Niners the week before, kind of giving Jordan Mason a career type game. They're fifth worst according to PFF. The season's still early, but the run defense has not been there. And the Patriots are currently attempting the third most rushing attempts per game in the league. Ramondre Stevenson really running that offense with the lack of weapons on the outside. So I think the Patriots match up pretty well. And Rodgers, who is obviously a really good quarterback, hasn't eclipsed 200 passing yards on the season yet. I don't know if that's going to happen this game. It could. But I mean, 6.5 is just too much for me, even on the road.
Yeah, I'd say still too early for me to put a lot of stock into these PFF grades, but just the eyeball test, I think backs up everything you're saying. Definitely been impressed with the Patriots, who are just an overtime away from being 2-0 this year. I have not been impressed with the Jets, who barely pulled out a win. I wouldn't say barely pulled out a win, but it definitely was much closer than I thought it was going to be on the road against the Titans. So I'm with you here. Plus 6.5 seems pretty good. I had to pick the Jets here just because if it really came down to the wire, of course, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers running a 2-minute drill with his weapons rather than Jacoby Brissett here. But especially with such a low total, the plus 6.5 seems pretty enticing to me. Again, taking the Jets to win this one, I think, they have too many weapons. You have to think that the Jets will figure it out sometime. First home game for them this season. Although it'd be pretty funny for them to lose, I think they got this one. And a close one, though, because some two really good defenses, probably even liking the under in this game, too. Here's a game, Sliwa, where I'm a little surprised personally that both these teams are 2-0 here, which, again, really low total this week on this game. And unlike the last game, pretty tight spread here. So, real low scoring pick 'em game. Who do you think is going to emerge as 3-0 in this game?
I mean, kind of going off your reason for why you like the Jets. I mean, I think these two teams are very similar. They've both been pounding the rock on the ground, which is kind of new for the Chargers. But J.K. Dobbins is leading the NFL in rushing yards as of today. And then the Steelers are the number one team as far as rushing attempts per game go. So that kind of plays into that very low total that you just mentioned. But I mean, both defenses are also playing great. These two teams have each let up the least amount of points through the first two games,
Right.
but that also has to do with the strength of schedule. I mean, neither of these teams have really beaten anybody too impressive yet.
Hmm.
But I mean, all things considered, I know they're on the road, but I'm going to have to go with the Chargers in this one just because I trust Herbert a lot more than I do trust Fields. I don't think Fields has had to win any games yet for them, but if it kind of gets into that situation, I mean, we just haven't seen him being able to elevate a team yet in his career.
Yeah, I want to take the Steelers here because they're at home and have the better defense, but it's really difficult for me to do so. If any team can win with lesser talent, it is Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, but I think I'm with you. I'm gonna go with the Chargers here as well for all the points that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh too. Like I know it's still early, but his culture is definitely coming into play
Love
quick.
it.
Like they're defensive minded. They're definitely committed to the run early. And while they don't necessarily have the perfect personnel for it, it's already dividends. So
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
paying
I'm
extreme
behind the
dividends.
Chargers, and I think they're going to be really good.
It's more about you see right away because of the personnel is remain pretty consistent year over year to Staley to Harbaugh. The schemes with Roman and Harbaugh are paying off immediately because they are getting J.K. Dobbins to be the leading rusher in the NFL with half as many rush attempts as other guys up there on that list. So he's not just leading the league in rushing, but he's doing it in such an efficient way. Not because J.K. Dobbins suddenly is one of the best running backs in the NFL, but because he's in a scheme that allows him to thrive. In the same kind of scheme, or very similar with Greg Roman that he was in Baltimore, but he was just never healthy for it. And now he is, and now he's playing great. So I'm with you on the Chargers here. It's hard to look at the Steelers with the quarterback situation here and take them. You mentioned the points against for each team. Chargers have 48 points for versus the Steelers 31 this year. So it's a good 2 touchdowns and a field goal more in the 2 games. It seems like that'll be a difference in a game where points will definitely be at a premium here. Here's another close game here. Luckily, we got some more points in total in this one. But again, two 2-0 teams. I think people are a little surprised about the Vikings being 2-0. They're here hosting the Texans, who look pretty solid against the Bears on that Sunday Night Football game. What are you thinking here? I'll let you lead it off again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off where I will admit I was wrong on the Texans. In the preseason, I thought people were a little bit too high on them. It still is very early, but the acquisitions are coming in and playing great. I mean, Mixon seems like the great fit that a lot of people were saying he would be, and then Stephon Diggs is definitely still far from washed. And I mean, honestly, I didn't watch a ton of the Texans last season until a little bit later in the year. But Nico Collins is unreal. Like he's everything is advertised. Big body. I mean, it's definitely like an unfair comparison, but reminds me a little bit of Julio Jones. But looking at this matchup, I mean, it's hard for me to still buy into the Darnold hype. I mean, I think more than anything, it's Justin Jefferson reviving his
Oh,
career. I mean,
so
he's
good.
like Justin Jefferson's playing out of his mind as he always does. And I mean, it's not really a trap game, but I mean, this Vikings team just came off of a really hard fought win. Well, I mean, they kind of dominated the Niners. I don't see it happening again. I think they definitely, I mean, obviously benefited them that they started that game with the lead. But from what I've seen from the Texans so far, I mean, this team looks very legit, and I'm going to keep rolling with the away teams, even though they're a road favorite here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine the Vikings being 3-0. So that's with Sam Darnold at the helm. And that's part of the reason why, like, it's just really easy to say the Texans. And part of the reason I am going to say I think the Texans win this game. Texans are a very complete team here. You mentioned the acquisitions that they got on the offensive side of the football. I think getting Danielle Hunter from the Vikings this offseason to pair with Will Anderson Jr. at the defensive end position is immediately, like, to use this term again, paying dividends for these guys. You saw Hunter in the backfield all day against the Bears, although the entire Texans defensive line was in the backfield all day against the Bears. But they filled the holes that they needed to on both sides on the football there. And they're looking really solid again on both sides of football. I think they're a complete team, in one where you can um, put a lot more faith in the quarterback in a close game like this, too, even on the road here. I
Yeah,
also,
and
I Joe Mixon's status is certainly up in the air for this game after that ankle injury that he suffered on Sunday Night Football. But even so, like Damian Pierce had a great year with these guys last year. Devin Singletary, who's not on this team anymore, had a great year running behind this Texans offensive line last year. No matter who's at running back, I think they're going to succeed, especially when you have a prolific passing offense that these guys have and so many options that you have to worry about. It just opens up the run game more too. I don't think the Vikings have the same run game with the combination of Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler there. And for all these reasons, like it's really Justin Jefferson. Defense in Minnesota is playing great, and it's really because Brian Flores is the most overqualified defensive coordinator in football. And the Vikings they're playing well and they're 2-0. I do not expect them to be 2-0 at the end of this week. I like the Texans money line and -2.5.
yeah, I mean, you hit on it too with the Texans pass rush. Mentioned the Vikings kind of weaker backfield. I mean, they definitely want to rely on the pass and use Justin Jefferson as much as they can. I mean, and that kind of plays into the Texans' hands. They defend the pass very well with that pass rush, Stingley in the backfield.
Yeah,
Like this team is built to kind of slow down the Vikings in my
exactly.
mind.
Derek Stingley, great cornerback. Derek Stingley Jr., that is. All right, another good game. Saints surprising 2-0 team. NFL's been great this year in terms of surprises. And you got the Eagles at that very surprising loss on Monday Night Football here. Again, close game, very high total here. What do you think? Because I guess here's the better question. Are you buying in after 2 weeks now into the Saints hype and belief really in their offense?
I was going to ask you the same thing. So the Saints have scored 21 more points than any other team in the NFL this year, and this offense was pretty bad last year. They didn't really make any changes, so I mean, at least
Offensive
personnel
coordinator,
wise,
Clint
yeah,
Kubiak.
personnel wise, right? Yeah, but I mean that goes a very far way. I mean, we've seen Derek Carr be successful in Las Vegas, so I mean, I think they're definitely going to be better than last year. I don't think they could keep scoring at this rate per se. I mean, they've gotten off to really hot starts as well against the Cowboys and then last week too. So I just don't think they could keep it up. I mean, it's almost going to be impossible. But Alvin Kamara looks like his former self. I think
Yep.
that's very scary. Like he has the ability to take over games, especially when he's healthy. Um, but I don't think they're using Chris Olave enough in the offense, like for
Hmm.
that former first round pick. I mean, Rashid Shaheed's had a couple really big chunk gains or even touchdowns in their first couple games. So I just don't know how sustainable it is. I know Kamara looks great, but I mean, I'm pretty much rolling with the road teams through the first several matchups. I got to go with the Eagles plus money on the road. I think they're a lot deeper of a team. And yeah, I think they're just due for the win after dropping that one last week on Monday.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think we'll see what happens with AJ Brown because he's a huge piece of this passing offense. I'll take it back. AJ Brown's going to be out this game. That's a really big miss for the Eagles. I want to say they're going to win this game especially because of how they ended last week on a stinker, but their offense didn't look that great against the Falcons. Now, granted, the Falcons have a pretty solid defense and also talk about a team that made some great acquisitions in the offseason, especially on the defensive side. But I'm not completely buying into the Saints offense. But you see the difference, and we've seen it in prior seasons of what getting an offensive coordinator that was in the 49ers system can do. So again, Clint Kubiak is the new OC over here in New Orleans, former passing coordinator for the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. You look pretty quickly in the past 2 or 3 seasons, and you saw a similar effect just last year when Bobby Slowick went to the Texans, made a drastic jump, and then with Mike, the guy in the Dolphins, help me out here, head coach for the Dolphins.
McDaniel.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say Mike McDonald, but he's the head coach of the Seahawks, and him for the Dolphins there. So you see these coaches right away making a huge impact, and that's what's happening for the Saints too. This might not be a fluke, just like the Texans blowing up overnight after having the second overall pick might not be a fluke either. Um, we will have to see. I think because AJ Brown's out, and I don't believe that much in Jalen Hurts as a pure passer, you know, I was about to say the Saints are going to win this game. I know Jalen Hurts can do something crazy with his legs. I'm with the Eagles on this one too. I think the
Yeah,
Eagles
I
win
mean
the game.
the Eagles are one of the like they went out and got Jahan Dotson in the offseason too. Like still have Devonta Smith, Dallas Goddard. I mean, this team is
And you
like you
got
can't replace AJ Brown,
you
but
got
they are better
Saquon
equipped
Barkley
than
too.
other
They
teams.
got talent on offense. Don't sell them short. I think the Eagles have like a FU kind of win this game. And just the Saints, they're not a 3-0 team. They don't pass the 3-0 smell test. I think they're due for a letdown. They're running too high here. Here's a game that I'm not too interested in, although I could see a little bit of surprise because the Broncos are 0-2. But you get the Bucks coming off a big win on the road against the Lions. I could be smelling a letdown game here because that's kind of what happens when you go out and topple a team that is, I think, besides the 49ers, the Lions are the favorite to make and win the Super Bowl out of the NFC here. The Bucks and Baker Mayfield in this offense are looking great. You can say the exact opposite about Bo Nix and the Broncos. So this is a game I propose we go a little quicker through. I think the Bucks win here. Um, hard not to say the cover, but it seems like a trap. I would say that if I had to pick a cover team, it would be the Broncos because teams play differently when they're 0-2. They just
Yeah,
do because everyone knows what happens when you're 0-3. And while Bo Nix might not be the best quarterback, these guys have a roster of 53 of the best players in the world and the most talented athletes in the world. They're going to come to play. They get paid to play football too. I think it's got a possibility to be closer than people think. Again,
yeah,
2-0 teams, Bucks don't pass the sniff test of being a 3-0 team. They're very likely going to be. But again, I could see a letdown game here. I could see them looking past this game. I could see a lot of reasons why the Broncos hang around this one unnecessarily.
yeah. I'm with you. I think the Broncos cover, but Bucks still pull out the win. I mean, low total. You got Pat Surtain still in the secondary,
Yep.
lining up against Mike Evans. I think it's going to be one of those lower scoring games where Broncos probably cover but don't win.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here too. So here's an intriguing one. When you get, I want to put it on the record. I was on the Packers last week. You were on the Colts. Remember that? Remember when that happened?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to get my bracket rights in. You'll get those back at me too, and you can throw it in my face. And then you got the Titans at home, who are 0-2, 2.5 point favorites. You buying the Titans getting their first win this week?
I'm buying very much on the Titans getting their first win. I
Hell yeah,
think
so am I.
I think they choked the game away against the Bears. They should have won that one in the opening week, and then even against the Jets, that was a very winnable game for them last week. I think they're one of the more underrated teams. We've talked about their offseason acquisitions. I keep going back to Snead, but I mean, even Calvin Ridley's performing for them early in the season. But yeah, I just don't think the Packers are going to have enough. Malik Willis only threw 14 passes last week. They got the early lead and then just played keep away pretty much for the
Mm.
remainder of the game. And Anthony Richardson shot himself in the foot enough times,
Yeah, three
not let
plays.
him back in
Yeah.
it. I think the Titans are going to win this game. I want to say they're the best 0-2 team, but they're still the Ravens. So
Yeah.
I would put the Titans at number two.
Yeah, and I don't even want to imply that the Titans are close to the Ravens level, but I'm kind
No,
of
I
with you
know.
on that too. I know you didn't. I'm totally wholeheartedly on the Titans here. Hammer the Titans to win this week. I think everything you said was right. I really like the Titans. Their biggest strength is their interior defensive line. That's going to make it really tough for the Packers to run the ball, which is obviously what they want to do, and make Malik Willis throw the ball as little as possible. These guys are just getting the Titans are getting killed by turnovers and letting the other team either score out those turnovers or being in great field position. If they can just if they can play turnover free game, hell, they can even have one turnover. They've been averaging two plus. If they can just keep the turnovers down and not let the defense score like they did against the Bears and the Jets, then or at least get good field position, then I think they win this game too. If they don't shoot themselves in the foot in every quarter of this game, the Titans will win, and I'm gonna hammer this one.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear. Lafleur doesn't even trust Malik Willis. I know they just got him pretty recently, but I mean they want to just run the ball and keep it out of his hands. Like
Yeah,
you're not going to win many games playing
yeah,
like that.
he can't make mistakes handing the ball off. Here's another game I don't care too much about, and I'm really frustrated with the Giants last week. Is if they didn't get their kicker hurt, they would have won that game. But the Browns now host the 0-2 Giants after a big win on the road against the Jags here. Low total here, basically a touchdown favorite. Any reason you're not picking the Browns to win this one?
Yeah, I mean I like. I mean they're going to win the game in my I think, but at least spread wise, I like the Giants plus 6.5. Deshaun's QBR is ranked 29th in the league. I mean he's just hurting them, but they're going to keep playing him because how much they're paying the man. So until he gets replaced or if Nick Chubb comes in midseason and somehow picks up his form from last year, I don't think this Browns team is going to be good enough on the offensive end to continue to win games. Like that Jaguars game was just gross. They gutted it out in the end. But I mean, I think the Giants kind of figured it out. I mean, I don't know why they didn't use him more in week one, but Malik Neighbors played very well. And like you said, if the kicker didn't get hurt, they would have won last week. So I think they're going to feed Neighbors a little bit more, and this offense can get going. I mean, it's a tough matchup against the Browns, but it's just going to be low scoring, probably not a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Browns winning this one. I think especially because the Giants feel like they probably got robbed and cheated a little bit with last week's loss. They come out really far in this game. And every now and then you see Daniel Jones put on a pretty decent performance. This is be a timely one. I don't think they win the game again, but I do think you're going to see a little bit of scrap and fight out of the G-men and have them cover this game too if I had to pick. Another close game for us. A couple of one-on-one teams here. Sorry, no. Colts are
The Colts are
0-2. I apologize. The
covered week
Bears
one.
are, yeah, one-on-one here. I'll start this one out because I've handed off to you a few times. Colts are going to win this game. I just no doubt about it in my mind. Not because of the Bears, but because I do think the Colts are a very talented team. I think the Bears are very talented too, but I just think the Colts are better than 0-2. They played the Texans very hard and passionately, which we expected, and they covered that week one game at home. Letdown game against the Packers, where I think they were looking past them a little bit too, but through three interceptions as well. If they can get the run game going, which I think they will, because I haven't seen a ton out of the Bears run game these first 2 weeks. I think they'll be in a pretty good position where they get the play action going, hit their deep bombs that they've been looking for, and put up simply just more points than the Bears too. Think they're getting Josh Downs back this week. So they got him, Alec Pierce, and then Pittman. The pretty good wide receiver trio there, which is tough to stop, even with the defense as good as the Bears. I like the Colts to pick up their first win. Now, if this was a one-on-one Colts team, I might be saying a different tune because I do think the Bears defense is very legit. I'm just not seeing enough from the offense right now. And really, the wide receivers, the Bears just aren't getting open enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are all good points. I mean, Chase Daniel was watching him on Twitter, but yeah, like the Bears wide receivers were not getting open. It wasn't entirely Caleb's fault, but yeah, like the secondary was great for Houston, and the O line was even worse for the Bears. I mean, this game, I'm too biased on this one. I do think the Bears are going to pick up this win. I do think Caleb is finally going to have a solid game in the NFL. I mean, we've faced tough defenses for through the first 2 weeks. I think this is his best opportunity to finally score his first passing touchdown.
Well, I
So,
would
I
hope
mean, I'm
so.
on the Bears, but I'm not going to give it out as an official pick because there's definitely some bias
All
behind
right,
it.
next week, one of us will get to say, I told you so. I'll put you down for the Bears. We'll see what happens.
But
Okay, Raiders. Huge, huge win in Baltimore last Sunday. Can they pick up another against the Panthers that look absolutely dreadful with Bryce Young, though? Now we're going to have the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, step in at quarterback. He's got weapons in Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. Can the Panthers win this game?
you know what? I think Dalton coming in is a huge upgrade for the Panthers. He
100%.
played he played one game for them last year, and in that one game he played, he had more passing yards in that one game than Bryce Young's recorded in a single game in his career. I mean, he's just an immediate upgrade for the offense. And when you're not moving the ball, turning it over, giving away good field position, like the defense it makes the job brutal on them. So I think this is a nice steal spot for the Panthers plus 5.5, maybe even win the game.
Totally. Love it, Slua. Definitely a steal at plus 5.5. Like you can't talk about buying the dip. There's no lower dip than the Panthers after the first 2 weeks. I think at the very minimum, well, Andy Dalton's an upgrade, and there's no doubt about that. But also, just to light a fire on your team's butt and say, guys, we're not just gonna sit down and take this and take these losses and not make any changes. We're putting in Andy Dalton. Let's go win some ball games. Let's go compete out there. Bryce Young's not giving us a chance to do that. This is a team, a head coach, and management that is saying we are going to put our prior decisions aside and do what's best right now. Right now, it's not Bryce Young. And I like that they're at least acknowledging that. Unlike like you mentioned the Browns, they're paying Deshaun Watson. They're going to keep putting him out there when I think a lot of people know there are better options to start a quarterback in Cleveland. I respect the hell out of the Panthers making the change. And I think, especially with the low total, this plus 5.5 is a great value, especially given that I'm selling high on the Raiders just after beating the Ravens, too.
Oh, 100%.
I
Yeah,
like the plus
I
5.5
love
at
the
Dawn.
Panthers here, actually.
Do not be shocked if the Panthers win this game. I certainly will not be. Game here where, this spread would not be this way. I don't even think the Seahawks would be favored if Tua was playing. You got Skylar Thompson with a long week to prepare with this offense and the Seattle defense here. Do you think the Dolphins can salvage a win despite Skylar Thompson being QB here? They got a ton of weapons still. Do you think they can get
I
the win?
mean, I personally don't think they will. I mean, they are 4.5 point underdogs, but I do like what I'm seeing out of the Seahawks. They are 2-0. I mean, it wasn't pretty getting the win in New England, but the big encouraging thing for me is they're getting JSN more involved. He had like 13 targets last week. Him and DK both went over for 100 receiving yards. And yeah, I mean, the running game wasn't great, but even more so, this Seahawks defense is legit. Like their secondary is
Oh
arguably the
yeah.
best in the league with Spoon and Tariq Woolen. So I think they're going to match up really well. The only way I see the Dolphins win this game is if A Chain goes insane, and
Yep.
we've seen him do it before.
Could happen.
But that's the only way I see the Dolphins winning this one.
Yeah, long week with Mike McDaniel scheming on your defense definitely scares me. He's he's got so much talent between Waddle, Hill, and HN and speed to figure out a game plan to beat the Seahawks here. I am a little nervous if I was trying to bet the Seahawks here. I think I would take the Dolphins plus 4.5 here. If I had to pick one side. I do like what I've seen out of Seattle, but their offense is actually what's um, been my gripe, I guess. They haven't been as explosive as I'd like, although they are getting Jackson Smith and Jigma more involved as of last week, and I think that's going to be a big key to their success. Seattle's a 2-0 team that's has a plus 9 point differential here, so a pretty small margin for a 2-0 team. Uh, if you didn't have the Steelers, I think you can make the argument that they're the worst 2-0 team. Um, yeah, I think I'd say that. Maybe the Chargers. It's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in the offense yet. I haven't seen a ton of it. The run game is not good. They do not have a run game, although they were playing a tough Patriots defense last week, but they were getting nothing on the ground. You're going to get Kenneth Walker back, and he provides a spark, but definitely much more big play potential on the Dolphin side, even with Skylar Thompson, who is being praised by Mike McDaniel. Take that with a great assault, but I think I could see the Dolphins stepping up here. Now, not my.
Yeah.
I think I still will pick the Seahawks. No, you know what? I'm picking the Dolphins to win.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I mean, I just all things on the table. I mean, it's hard for me to not take the Seahawks,
Yeah,
but am I gonna go put a lot of money on that bet? Probably
no,
not.
no. Here's a game I cannot wait to watch. Cowboys, after a really tough loss against the Saints, hosting the Ravens after a real tough loss against the Raiders. Ravens 1.5 point favorites. Basically a picking game with a lot of points being expected to score here. Do the Ravens put one up in the win column this week? Or do they start 3-0? I want to say before you get into this, only one team since 2000, I believe, has ever made the playoffs starting 0-3. One team.
Was it the Colts?
I could not tell you. Saw the stat, didn't see the
I
team.
know. Yeah, there was one year they started 1-5 and made the playoffs, but maybe they
You
were
can
like one
go,
and
I'll
two
let
though.
you know. Only six teams have done it since 1980. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean I don't see the Ravens losing this game. I think this is also one of those games where yes, I mean the Cowboys are good, but we just saw the Saints light them up, and I was completely sold on the Browns beating the Cowboys week one. I was completely wrong on that, but I do think that was just more of a situational game. I don't know. I like the Ravens a lot here, and I would maybe take like an alt line on them -7 or 10. Like I think they come out hot. I think they keep the pressure on. We saw them blow it late against the Raiders. I don't think that happens again here. I like the Ravens to win comfortably.
Yeah, desperation for the Ravens here as well kind of put them over the top. And by no means do I think the Cowboys are riding high. But again, after last week's loss, it's hard to. But the Ravens need this win with a capital N, and they will get it. They have the former MVP, the reigning MVP. They got great coaching staff, and they got talent on both sides of the football, predominantly on that defense. They will win this game. Not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. No, they're the better team. They need it more.
Exactly. Now this game is a doubt in my mind who could win it, although I am leaning certainly one way. Heaviest total, largest total, I think this week. And you can see why given these two teams. Lions coming off a tough loss against the Bucks and one that we predicted might be brewing. We were definitely on the Bucks spread and predicted that we wouldn't be shocked if they did end up winning that game. And the Cardinals here, which I know I said I was on them. I think you were with me last week too.
Oh yeah.
What do you make of this game here with
Yeah, I
Adrian
mean, I
Peterson?
feel like a lot of these early games, it's you're trying to play some trends. I mean, I think I think in this one, so I mean, you view this as two high scoring offenses. The Cardinals are second in the league in points scored, right behind the Saints, or not right behind them, quite a bit margin, but they are second.
Yeah,
And this Lions offense is hyped up to be the best offense in the league. They're sitting in the middle of the pack right now. Well, I think Ben Johnson. I think they're gonna start scheming up a little bit more on that offensive end. The offense looked horrible against the
yeah,
Bucks.
has
Like
not been there.
it just seemed like they knew everything that was coming. Like they got down and they just started throwing it to Amon Ra every single play. I think they're going to bring Laporta back into the offense a little bit more. His usage has been way down, and I think they've just been way too predictable. So I think the Lions are going to figure something out this week and win this one, even though they're favorites on the road. I do like the Cardinals, but I just think it's a bad spot for them here after the Lions just kind of getting beat up by the Bucks.
Agreed. I'm on the Lions. They're the better team. They're going to win this game. I think the big difference maker for me, if any, if there's any one person to point to, it's Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end for the Lions. He's just been phenomenal so far. And I think I have to look at the actual odds, but I think if I had to say, he's on pace to be defensive player of the year with what he's been doing. He's been lights out and unguardable. He's going to make some difference maker plays this game that I think will tip the scales in the Lions' favor. But I'm with you. Ben Johnson's got to get this offense back into what it was last year. Get your horses back in this offense. Get Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta back in being integral pieces. And Jameson Williams will be there for the big play. That's how you would get Gibbs back in here, both in between the tackles and throwing the ball out of the backfield. Get back to what worked. And I think they'll have a really good shot against the Cardinals defense that is not very good. Here you got the Rams, who the Cardinals just decimated, and the Niners have a tough loss against the Vikings. We got a little bit of time, but not a ton, Sliwa. Anyway, you think the Rams win this game? That's more important in my mind.
No, no, I don't think there's any way they win this game. I mean, yes, like there's a very sliver of a chance, but I think Niners minus 7.5, perfect for a teaser. Get them down to 1.5.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the Niners off of a loss, and the Rams just decimated in the wide receiving core right now. Like the O line's weak.
O-line's decimated
Stafford
too.
can't move very well. Like I don't know how they're going to score points in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough against the 49ers team that's one going to do everything they can to control the game with their running offense. Even without Chris McCaffrey, we know we can do that. And without Debo, you still got a good player. It's why you go out and pay Brandon Ayuk in the offseason, and you still have an elite defense here. Hard for me to see the Rams winning this one as well. A little intriguing game here as Chiefs just held on to a win against the Bengals, and the Falcons had at one point like a 1% chance to win the game late in the fourth quarter and came out with it. Can do the Falcons have another miracle at home against the Chiefs, who are now without Isaiah Pacheco, our running back?
Yeah, I actually do like the Falcons plus 3.5. I think Kirk. I mean, yes, he's coming off that Achilles injury, but we already saw some good progression from week 1 to week 2, and even during week 2, I feel like Kirk got better as that game went along. It's not going to happen right away, but I think this team's getting a lot better. We've talked a lot about the defensive acquisitions on that team as well, with Justin Simmons in the backfield or in sitting back at safety. But or that is Simmons, right? Correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong.
yeah, you got it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was on the Falcons on Monday night. Yeah, I I think a lot of people are going to be on the Chiefs minus 3.5 here. That's not the reason I'm taking the Falcons, but I mean the Chiefs are prone to laying some duds here and there. You just mentioned Pacheco got injured. Travis Kelsey isn't what he used to be. This team, like yes, now they add Xavier Worthy to the mix, but I think AJ Terrell, just the amount of guys that are on this Atlanta defense, I think they'll do enough to stay in the game and keep it within 3.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here. Yeah, the the Chiefs are prone to a stinker game now and then, and more often than not, that is on the road too. You gotta love a formula for the Falcons where they're going to run the ball a ton. They're going to give you a lot of passes out of the backfield to both Algier and Bijan there too. And now you're seeing a little more reliance on their weapons like Pitts, but definitely more Drake London too. Darnell Mooney, great deep threat. You saw get the end zone on Monday night too. This offense looking better certainly than last year. Hard to look worse. And again, they made some great acquisitions on the defensive side with Matthew Judon. It's a pass rusher primarily, and then like you said, Justin Simmons at safety to go alongside um like Jesse Bates from
That's
Cincinnati.
what I thought. Yeah, I was blanking. That's
Yeah.
the name I was looking for.
So two great safeties, good pass rusher, good cornerback, AJ Terrell, weapons on offense. Hard for me to go out in the line and say the Falcons win this one. I could see it definitely. Especially as the Chiefs might be looking a little bit past this one. Short week makes me a little concerned with the Falcons, but probably not too big of an issue. Chris Jones getting after immobile Kirk Cousins will likely be coming up and facing its head this game. I think the Chiefs win it barely in typical Chiefs fashion, where they probably get a flag or two in the fourth. Here we go. Bills, Jags here. Bills defense is playing pretty well this year from what I expected here. Jags 0-2. I thought they would be more of a playoff hopeful wild card given how good the Texans are. 0-2 is pretty scary, as I mentioned. I think desperation kicks in for the Jags here too, as they definitely have the talents on offense to put up points. I think the Jags cover 4.5, and I think are a sneaky pick to win this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, of all teams that have been kind of struggling on offense, I do think the Jags are one of the better equipped rosters to turn it around. I am hearing Evan Ingram might miss this game, so I mean that would be a big loss for the offense.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think Brian Thomas continues to get more integrated. The rookie from LSU, I
Yep.
think he's a big body target. And yeah, like I mean, you said the Bills defense, they have been performing pretty well, but I mean, we saw the Cardinals come out hot against them, and yes, the Cardinals offense looks good so far, but I don't think the Bills defense is quite up to par with what they have been at the
No,
last few seasons.
no.
So I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if the Jaguars have their offensive breakout game in this Monday night matchup.
Yeah, they certainly
Two,
needed
two
to.
Monday night games this week.
Yeah, talk about good 0-2 teams here. The Bengals prove that they can hang with the best of them. The Chiefs, um, flat out here, the Bengals will not drop this one. Just like the Ravens, I really don't believe the Ravens will. They're playing a pretty good opponent. The Bengals here are desperate and have the advantage of playing a really bad team and a team that should have just lost to the Giants at home. This Commanders team has not looked good on either side of the football, in my opinion. One bright spot is a few fun plays from Jaden Daniels, but you're not getting a great passing game. You're not getting a great rushing game out of this Commanders team. Defense is atrocious, letting up 37 to the Bucks and letting up 3 touchdowns to the Giants, which is even more heinous. I think the Bengals roll double digits in this game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do even like the -7.5, but I think this is perfect. Tease this one with the Niners against the Rams, and I think that's you're sitting in a pretty good spot with two teams coming off of losses and as the much better roster in the matchup.
Love it. Sliwa, we made it through with time. Everyone, best of luck watching, gambling, picking games in week 3, and we will see you next week in week 4.